All right, here we are live at the Toro 2007 Briggs and Stratton tear apart. I gotta get the air filter cover off. I gotta get this cover off. And I gotta get the front head off. Now, what I want to try to do is push the piston toward the back of the house to pull it out, because it blew up yesterday, and I'll show you. Got a huge hole behind this air filter, which once I remove the air filter box, I'll be able to show you that. So I gotta get my tool. Almighty toolbox. Probably won't need this socket here, because I took the spark plug out already. But I'll show you. Turning this over now, it doesn't want to start because there's a hole in it. But if you move it the other way, it's locked right now. Well, maybe not. Screwdriver. Probably need the WD-40 at some point. Trying not to block the camera. So it's got no gas and or oil in it, so not worried about those spilling. Once I get this piston out, I can try to put this stuff back together, if it indeed does go back together. I'm going to try to do is tighten these so I don't lose them. Oh, well, that's out of whack anyway. To get this cover off, I need some other stuff. I need this, and I need that. Trying to move this close to the camera. Hopefully I got some viewers here at some point. Taking this apart will be hard though. I just had this engine cover off the other week because the dipstick had a piece of metal in it, which obviously that probably wasn't from the engine. It's probably some other problem. Flashlight out here. Let's see what I'm doing. I had plenty of light elsewhere, but there goes a screw there, and where did it fall to? over here. Try to keep all my screws in designated place. It's the reason I have this storage tub. I'll tuck it over there. The muffler doesn't need to come off, but the dipstick tube does. I don't know how to unmove this. Disconnect that. There's still fuel in here, but I'm not worried about it because this thing will never run again because there's a hole in it. The goal is to put all this back together after I get the piston out, if there's a way to do that. That's the dipstick. And then this thing, that's a different size. Too big. I'm guessing it's a 10mm. Yep. I should have washed this all off before I took it apart, but what's the point? Or the junkyard anyway. If I can get the piston out, I might have a problem trying to get it out because I'm going to be stuck in there for some unknown reason. I think the hardest thing putting it back together is getting the dipstick to match up with the hole, because it's weird like that. And my hand is covered in oil. So the back side of this is off now. Take the front side off. Move that over there. This one. I'll laugh if I find any other holes in this block, not just the one behind the air cleaner. Then that'll be a definite sign I knew I had an oil leak. And sometimes when I would add oil, 5 to 10 ounces, it would just smoke it crazily. Which couldn't do nothing about it, so I knew at some point this thing would go blow. Luckily, I threw the rod over here, not in the front somewhere. So that was probably the only place it could go, because this stuff, the left side of it, if you're looking at it from the back, is blocked by the muffler. The only place it could go is backwards or out the side. Luckily, I didn't nick the fuel line. But luckily, this thing has no gas in it, so saves me the trouble of draining all the gas. Okay, engine recoil cover. Pretty grimy here. Do that with that. Rotate this again. Now I gotta take the air filter box off, which looks pretty easy. It's holding on. There's 2 small screws there. That plate. That's the right socket size. I'm surprised. But I have leverage. My hands are all oily. There's a bolt back here. So I'm taking all this stuff off first, and then the front part. I'm going to put these screws here. I'll probably have to relabel it. The video, take apart, and then put it back together. But not the rebuild. Ooh, that one's a little rusted. I keep an eye on that one. It's a plate. Okay, there's one more screw holding it on. It's baffle. A handy dandy screwdriver. Pry that off. Behind there. Oh, nope, you can't really pry that off because it's metal. Oh well, we'll work around it. The bolt's right here. These Briggses are good. It's just when you forget to add oil, any motor, and blow up. I had a red Tecumseh yard machine snowblower. I forgot there was an oil leak. I was starting to narrow it down. One day it just seized up on me, but it didn't put a hole in the block like this one. So I think it's because this one is at full speed and it was almost out of gas and it went kaboom. So that plate, ooh, that's really grimy, if you can see that. No point in cleaning that off. Okay, you got the carb spring here. Get this bracket. Bolt there. You got a bolt here. It's a 10 mil. It is. That's funny. Wow, I think I have all the necessary screws and bolts and stuff matched up for this. I'm surprised. Didn't take much effort. Move that over a little bit. Let's see. 14 minutes and I'm already halfway apart with this thing. Man, I'm quick. I'd be a 45-minute video to put it all back together. It's loose. Okay, got that bolt out. And you got that one there. Okay, get to it. It's in a weird position. Well, why'd they do it that way? Well, that doesn't help me. Ooh. There's a connecting rod. Hold on, tilt this. Spit it with my foot. There it goes. The connecting rod piece back in place. Did I lose anything? No. Other than this chunk and this chunk. Okay. Flashlight. I gotta get this bracket off. Dirt and grime in here. Hold on. Get to that access. It's different size bolt, which I doubt. What else is holding that on? This bracket is attached to something. Different bolt size. Hold on. Found it. Just feel it now. There it goes. Oh, that's the top bolt, the carb. That bottom bolt is for something else. It's loosening up. I'm a genius. Just gotta make sure that things go back in the right order. There's that governor rod back there. I like how these are external. Spring. Just unhook it. This plate's loose. Jeez. Stretching it this way won't hurt. Look how grimy that is. That's no good. I can't figure out how to undo this. Pending something. Okay, I'm not worried about that. I got that off. This muffler heat shield thing, we're going to keep it as a decorative piece. It's in good shape. Do that. I can smell gas coming out of it, or the air filter somewhere. Okay, so I got that off. Now the engine head bolts. I don't have the right size socket here. I'm gonna use something else. 9/16. I'm only guessing. Not too large. 14. Too large. 14. $13 might do it. Aha, it's 13. Damn, this one's stripped. Oh, no, it's not stripped, it's just all tight. I don't think it had a thread locker on it. 22 minutes of this. Well, these weren't that tight at all. I wonder that's why the compression was going before it blew up. One can only guess. The question is, do I have any bent valves or anything else in this damn joint? There. One here. Yeah, I'm not taking the muffler off. Wouldn't make sense to do because the issue's on the intake side. I think once it blew up, all the gas just was out of it anyway. Recoil still looks good. It'll probably turn over easier once the piston's out of it. Until I'm done, I should wash it off after I put everything back together, which isn't much. Like the carb, that, the head, the extra cover for the exhaust I'm keeping. This one might be tough enough. Let me get my extension. I don't have enough leverage here. I like leverage, but I want more leverage. You know, extensions really work. I should need more leverage to unloosen something. You get more power behind your twisting and turning, or whatever you want to call it. This ignition thing. Let's take it right. Pull that out of the way. Put that right there. I'll put it back in place when we go to put things back together. That one's tight. Ooh. That one's probably never been loose. It's probably on by Toro. Ah, I broke it loose. Yep. I'll laugh. There's no damage inside this head here. I will laugh. Break it loose. It didn't take much effort to break it loose. So that bracket's still attached there. So what I want to do is try to get leverage with something. Push the piston this way toward me. This thing won't run again because the hole's in the block, but The head, hopefully, is pretty good. Something to jam the head with. I have to get a flathead. Strike with a hammer or something. When the oil comes out, I'll drip onto the mower. I smell something burnt in there. Question is, what is it? Smells like a piston, but it also smells like oil. One can only guess. The spark plug also matches the green lawnmower from 1998 and the snowblower. So if I'm keeping that and the exhaust cover, that's I guess all I can keep from it because the air filter is soaked in oil. One head bolt actually looks really good. Two, that one's clean. This one's got oil on it. Three, ooh, it smells burnt. Threads are good. 4, clean. So the 2 on the exhaust side, one's got ash on it, one's got oil, and the 2 on the intake side are clean. Let's see how the bottom one looks. It smells burnt. Oh, that one's terrible. That definitely burnt. Starting to think I've burned an exhaust valve here, along with the connecting rod. Thank you for watching. It's not every day I do this. This is the first real motor that's actually fully blown on me. Oh, that's soaked in oil. Look at that. That was on the exhaust side. This is exhaust. Intake side is probably more clean. Yep, intake side still clean. In the middle, the bottom one holding it on for now. The only one holding it. Oil. Well, I don't see any damage in here on the head. No damage there whatsoever. So my assumption is piston actually looks good. And the exhaust valve is open, closed now. It's burnt. Ooh, the intake valve looks okay. Piston. No, I don't see any damage on the sleeve. So that's lucky.
I don't really care.
I'll show you people.
Do you really need this jacket?
If you want, the sleeve is very smooth. It has a small groove in it. I think it's from the rings stopping the piston. So that's not the failure. The failure was on the right side of the block, behind the air filter. And now attempt to pull this piston out of here. Oh yeah, would you look at that? It actually does come out. It's stuck in the grooves of the gasket. Oh, it's a double failure. Connecting rod blew out, and the chunk is still in the engine somewhere, and this piece is holding by this little thing. So it's a double failure. The piston actually looks really good, considering all that chrome on it. Rings actually look good. I don't see any scoring on it. My handy dandy flashlight. I don't see any damage on this thing. This little gimmick here. That piece broke. So that was loose. I'm guessing that's a 10 millimeter maybe. Yeah. Oh, so this is like broken. So this bottom part must have broken apart. This little part, this loose part, must have broken away from the bottom of the connecting rod. I'm surprised this piston's actually in good shape. I'm guessing the oil burning was because the rings were shot. I see a little bit gimmick or a scrape. Yeah, right here. It's separated from the piston. See? Right there, if you can see that. We're a little loose. Compression ring looks good. Well, that piston's for the Hall of Fame now. Just have to find the I don't even know. Connecting rod for it. So that's the Toro taken apart. Gasket. Work it. You got it. See any damage in here? Right. Oh, it actually chipped a part of the way to the back side of this. So basically, right where the block enters the sleeve, the piston enters the sleeve, the connecting rod slammed the bottom corner of the sleeve here. I don't see much scoring in here. No, it looks all relatively smooth to me. Yeah, so if the connecting rod isn't on the actual thing anymore, the crankshaft doesn't look scored at all, just a little bit at the bottom end. But generally what happened was the rod broke and the piston got stopped. So that's the assumption there. Now, take some photos. Valves actually look good though. I'm really surprised. Considering there's no oil in them. So that's exhaust. And that's top dead center is there. This intake's going out. Yeah, so that's cylinder walls are really clean though. That's what I'm surprised at. I thought it'd be all scored up and whatnot. Essentially this was in there. I'm surprised the piston was not damaged. Let's see, Briggs. 70 MAG. 11.6 M. That was like that. So there's a piece here missing. Something struck this. Well, now to put it back together without the piston in it. Mr. Plume, 2007. Full explosion of the connecting rod. It's actually a good thing that nothing major else broke in this. I mean, technically, if somebody wanted to redo this thing, they could probably reuse the piston, a different connecting rod, of course. The valves are fine. It's just the block has got a hole in it. So, I don't know. The muffler's good. The carb is good. So all you're doing basically, if somebody ever repairs this, which I doubt they will, is replacing the block with the same engine structure and a different connecting rod. Everything else, is perfect. So one of the weirdest failures in my lifetime that I witnessed, but I've never taken one of these apart in this fashion. That silver and red mower, Briggs, that was just gone to begin with. This, it was living when it died. So this gasket back on. That's what I figured. It's bent, so I gotta contort it. I'll do it seal again. It's burnt on one side anyway. It's burnt at the top end here. which means I burnt down here. That way. This way. Actually, it was this way. So let me put that back on here. This bolt was shit there. Line it up with that. There's grime on it. I think also some grime was leaking into the block, which didn't really help its case. That might have been why it was reusing some oil with the piston rings and the oil control ring and the compression ring look okay. So in that case, we may never know why it failed like that. Not that hard to take these things apart. I usually don't do that on a daily basis, but the fact of the matter is, I got lucky on this blow up. That was for something or other. It goes like this. The usual.
Usual? What's the usual?
Putting this back together.
What's wrong with it?
Connecting rod failed.
Connecting rod failed? What's that mean?
Kaboom.
Oh, kaboom. Bummer.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
I get rid of it.
Well, good luck, all right, man?
Yep. Luckily, it didn't damage anything else. It was just the connecting rod failed. But it's not worth it. Yep. No way the camera in mine. That goes on that. The rest is pretty simple. Only problem I'll probably run into is the dipstick tube, but do that one. Around this way. I need to fully tighten this, but I like to put all this back together and just scrap it. Keep the piston and the exhaust guard and the spark plug. Because I don't have another Briggs that matches this card, and I'm pretty sure they're all not interchangeable. Especially if you have the one with the primer on it, like this one. I'm getting sweaty on this. Wish I had a drill with a socket tube, but I like to do it the old-fashioned way and get the exercise. And once I've done this, I'll go back under the deck. I want to over-thread it, then you'll strip it. I mean, the head's still good, so if anybody wants to pick up this motor and replace the block and use the same head in the, carb and the gas tank and the recoil, the muffler and the blade adapter and the flywheel brake bracket, be my guest. I don't need to use for this. Also, it had self-propel, but belt on that's good too. So the only thing that failed was connecting rod. The rest of it's pretty good. I'm surprised. Mostly the time when the connecting rod fails, it damages something else other than the block. But not in this case. Got lucky on this one. I mean, if I had the money and time, I'd rebuild this myself. I don't have the resources for that, and don't really need to because I've had 3 other red mowers in my time, and they've all failed on me for some reason. But the moral of the story is, for me, no more red lawn equipment other than my weed whacker, which I plan to get a better one the next year or so. These long bolts. I was so lucky to push that piston out that easily. The failure point was right where it connected to the crankshaft, but surprisingly, it didn't damage the crank. It only damaged the rod where it connected, which is weird for this type of thing. And this muffler doesn't look like it's sealing anymore either. Just for the thread bolts, something. Honestly, if the connecting rod didn't fail, I'd probably still run this thing with the knocking of the rod. Probably drive me crazy. That's probably what all that tapping noise was earlier, yesterday, before it failed. Switch side, my back hurts now. All right, the head is now tight again, and you can now spin the flywheel freely with no resistance because the piston and the connecting rod are out of it. I'm so glad that the piston ring or the rod broke inside the motor and not destructively coming out of the front of the motor and hitting some important object under my deck. Computer charging, yes it is. We're 48 minutes into this. The next step is to put the carburetor back together. That's what this bolt is for. Size. I don't think I need this extension for anything else. I'll put this socket back in my big category. Take my extension off, put my 10 mil back on. Extension back in my toolbox. Match this back up to that hole. Put this plug wire back where it was. Don't do that on me. There you go. Solve that. Okay, that's tight now. This final bolt. Carb gas. This thing's not going to run ever again anyway because there's no engine. I mean, there's no piston. Okay, so now I got to put this back on. It's pretty grimy. I get a paper towel and wipe it off. Even though I should save myself the trouble and not do that. Point. This. Won't be needing this screwdriver for any more things today. It did its job. Same with that hammer. Shower after this. I'll tell you that. I'm sensing rebuilding this thing because it's already kaboom. This was like that. Cool. Oh, this is easier than I thought. Look how long it's taken me, 54 minutes. Whoever was watching, thank you. If I had more tools, I'd take the whole thing apart and redo it, but I got what I could out of it. Plus this video or a few others. It served its purpose for about 2 or 3 months, maybe less. I don't even know. See, it's October now. I got it like early August. About 2.5 months, but then it sat before that for 10 years under a deck, so that's probably what really did it in. That and me running out of oil because was hoping it would just lock up, but no, we blew the connecting rod out the side behind the air cleaner box. Okay. So now the only thing I have to put back together is the engine cover and the fuel tank. Engine cover should go first. Here we go. Put this back together. Some more bolts. Figure out what's what. Longer threads are in the rear. Two in the front and two in the rear, and then the rest is works there. There you go. Right in there. Perfect. That's not normal. You gotta screw something up somewhere. I guess not. Now, whatever that bolt was for, I don't know. That's working. This isn't a bolt for that. For some reason. I've got that. That. Oh, wow, there's a piece right here. connecting rod piece here. Whoa. And the connecting rod piece near the oil reservoir. Just found that. And I'm not pulling this thing apart just to get that out. So maybe what I'll do is dump it that way at some point. It's working. You can use longer bolts or shorter bolts for this engine cover. Doesn't matter to me. It all goes back into place, same thread side. This one's longer. Shorter. I think that one's longer because, well, it's on this side of the block, but there's no thing on this side. It's got a grommet for the gas tank thing. That's why it's designed that way. Matches up perfectly. That means I know I did my job right. Jesus. They're all the same. Oops, there's still fuel in there. A weird place for the connecting rod to be over here near the oil dipstick tube entry point. I guess that's the bottom part of the rod. But maybe if I tip the mower toward the intake side at some point, the rod will come out. And then that'll be easy because then I'll just have all the pieces of rod and block under the intake there. Now to put the oil dipstick back in. Grime and crap on it, but it doesn't matter. There it goes. I'm going to put the gas tank back on, which has some gas in it. Okay. It's lined up. Last few screws and then that recoil piece. Boy, do I know how to take something apart now and put it back together. I learned a lot today. It's a good thing. And it's a shame this motor will never run again because there's no piston and there's no connecting rod. But the crankshaft is in good shape, surprisingly. It's not every day that you throw a rod and don't damage the crank. Maybe a little bit of damage, but nothing to keep it from running probably if you put a new rod in there, new piston. You put the new You put the crank in a new block. There's a hole in this. Basically, just throw out the block, save the rest. Surprised. Right, Briggs knows how to build them. Always had problems with this one. Yeah, it's not working now. A little crooked, but whatever. If I strip it, I strip it. No matter to me, I got two other ones holding it on. Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna put that cover back on, and then I'm gonna get the air filter cover and put that back on. A lot of grime under this thing, but I'm not cleaning that off. Ain't no way. All right. Just a line up. I get one side in, that means the other side's gonna go in. That's not secure. There's the hole there. Now tighten it. Yeah, there we go. Make sure things line up. Otherwise you're screwed. All right. Get this bucket back where I found it. This box. Screwdriver already. I now need a flathead. What do I do with it? The plug there. Must have thrown the air filter cover out. I don't see it in here. Better check inside. Put that thing. I put that in the trash. Go check the trash can. Oh, here it is. Air filter cover. All grimy and whatnot, but I'm gonna put it back on. It's in this thing. Packing. All right, so it's back together. And, well, I guess that's all she wrote for this thing. My tools away. See if I can get that piece out before I end the video. Thank you, Mr. Plume 2007, for serving me for about 2 months, whatever. I dropped my socket. Oh, crap. I dropped my socket. Missing the end of this. What the hell? Get back in here. Okay, now I'm missing something. Gotta figure out what I do with it. So I'll just end the video here. That's the one I had. Do with it. Torn up somewhere, I know it. Pieces there. Oh, cigarettes. See, nothing. No resistance. Another piece. Or is that the same piece? Aha! Found another piece. Yeah, there it goes. I think that's all the pieces. Let me take these pieces off real quick. That looks like part of the connecting rod. There's my socket. And I thought I lost 8mm. That would have been a tragedy not finding that. What That hole's still there, but I can't find another piece. I was hoping to get that piece out. Obviously not. All right, people. That's about the end of the video for Mr. Plume 2007. He's all taken apart and put back together, and he will never run again. 3, 2, 1. See nothing. Prime 3 times. No piston, no rod. See nothing to fire. All right, people. That's the end of the video. Peace. Later. Hope you all have a good one and you enjoyed that. Bye.